Let's kick things off with what this whole thing is about. If you're new to Windows Server 2022 or servers in general, this guide is like your first friendly roadmap. It's aimed at beginners who want to learn how to set up, deploy, and manage a Windows Server environment. Whether you're building your own test lab at home or just trying to understand what your IT team does all day, this session is for you. Think of it as getting your feet wet before diving into the deeper end of server admin life. Windows Server Basics. Before you start doing anything fancy with Windows Server, you've got to get the basic stuff out of the way. That starts with configuring your networking. You go into your adapter settings, assign a static IP, set up your DNS, and make sure your gateway, which is usually your router, is all set. This part is crucial because it lays the foundation for everything else. For training purposes, you'll typically use private IP ranges so you don't mess with anything on the real internet. These settings are pretty consistent across different Windows Server versions. So if you're familiar with any Windows network config, you'll feel right at home. It's like setting the scene before a play begins. Nothing works without it. Server Manager Basics. Server Manager is where the magic starts to happen. When you boot up Windows Server, this dashboard is your command center. It gives you a quick snapshot of your server, name, domain status, firewall status, and more. One of the first things you'll do is rename your server and, optionally, join it to a domain. Just be ready to reboot after. Once your server is named and recognized, you move on to adding rules and features. Server Manager makes this process super straightforward with wizards to guide you through each step. Whether you're setting up a domain controller or a file server, this is where you get to choose what your server will do in your network universe. 4. Roles and features. Roles are like job titles for your server. You tell it what job to do. Maybe it's running Active Directory. Maybe it's dishing out IP addresses via DHCP, or maybe it's handling DNS. These are core services that define the server's function. Some are installed by default, and others you pick based on what your network needs. Features are like add-ons that support those jobs. For instance, if your server will handle software deployments, you might include Windows Deployment Services. Or if it's for database hosting, clustering might be helpful. You get to pick and choose based on what the server role demands, kind of like installing apps on your phone, depending on how you want to use it. 5. Configuring DHCP. DHCP is your best friend when it comes to giving out IP addresses automatically. Imagine having to set up a static IP on hundreds of computers manually. Yeah, no thanks. By installing the DHCP role and creating scopes, your server can assign IPs, gateways, and DNS info to all the devices on your network without you lifting a finger after setup. Scopes are basically the rules for how DHCP hands out addresses. You could set ranges, exclude certain IPs, and even define lease durations. It's all very similar to how your home Wi-Fi router gives your phone an IP, but on a much bigger and customizable scale. It's efficient and saves tons of admin time. 6. Configuring DNS. DNS is what translates human-friendly names into IP addresses that computers understand. Without it, you'd have to remember the numerical address of every website or computer. When you configure DNS on your server, you're taking control of how names get resolved in your network, which is crucial for services like Active Directory. You can create your own zones like bobsboots.com and tell the server that it's in charge of resolving those names. You'll also learn about the DNS lookup chain, which starts at the root servers and works its way down to your specific domain. It's a behind-the-scenes process that powers almost everything you do online or across your network. 7. Active Directory Overview. Active Directory is like your server's address book, calendar, and security guard all rolled into one. It manages user accounts, computers, groups, and permissions. And it what lets users log into any PC on the network with the same credentials. Once you add the ADDS role, you use the Active Directory Users and Computers console to manage it. Inside AD, you'll work with organizational units, which are like folders that help you organize your network structure. You might separate users by office location, department, or role. This makes things way easier when applying permissions or group policies later on. It's like organizing your kitchen so you can find stuff faster. 8. Creating users. Creating users in Active Directory is a breeze. You just right-click in the right OU, select New User, and fill in the details: name, login, and password. You can even set requirements like forcing them to change their password at next login, or preventing them from changing it at all. This is great for service accounts. After a user is created, you can dive into their properties to set all kinds of preferences, which computers they can log into, log on hours, or even when their accounts should expire. It's super handy if you have temporary staff or contractors. AD is all about control and flexibility, and user accounts are at the heart of that. 9. Creating and managing groups. Groups make your life easier. Instead of assigning permissions one by one to each user, which would be a nightmare, you create a group and assign permissions to that group. Then you just drop users into that group. Done and done. These groups can be domain, local, or global, depending on how your network is set up. Once created, you can apply them to folders, printers, and other resources. For example, giving the IT support group full access to a shared folder means every member of that group automatically gets access to. Easy, scalable, and efficient. Understanding organizational units. OUs are how you keep your Active Directory neat and tidy. Think of them like folders for users, computers, and groups. You might create one for each department or office and nest them as needed. For example, the business group. This structure helps with everything from management to policy enforcement. Once users and devices are placed into OUs, you can target them with group policies. That means you could say restrict access to control panel only for users in the IT department. It's a super powerful way to apply rules without having to do it manually for each person or device. 11. Group policy, GPO. Group policy is where things get fun and powerful. It's how you set rules and behaviors for users and computers across your network. Things like disabling USB drives, hiding control panel items, or setting desktop wallpapers. You create policies and link them to OUs to apply them automatically. Instead of editing the registry on each computer, which is risky and tedious, GPOs let you do it safely from a central place. You just right-click, create a GPO, and start tweaking settings, whether it's computer level or user level settings. You've got fine-tuned control over how the environment behaves. 12. Event Viewer. Event Viewer is like your server's diary. It keeps track of everything happening: logins, app errors, warnings, and more. It's where you go to troubleshoot issues or just see if things are running smoothly. Logs are split into categories like application, security, and system. Security logs in particular are gold for spotting unauthorized access or repeated failed login attempts. Each event has an ID number. You can Google for more info, making troubleshooting much easier. If something's not right in your server world, Event Viewer is often the first place to check. 13. Test lab and learning resources. If you're wondering where to practice all this, don't worry. You've got options. You can spin up a free virtual machine in Microsoft Azure, or download a trial version of Windows Server 2022 and run it locally with Hyper-V or VMware. Microsoft Learn is another goldmine. It's packed with tutorials, labs, and documentation that walks you through every step, from beginner basics to advanced features. It's all there for free. If you're serious about leveling up, this is one of the best ways to do it without spending a dime. So there you have it, a full walkthrough of Windows Server 2022 basics, from configuring networking and adding roles to managing users and applying group policies. You've seen just how much control you can have in a server environment. It's a core skill set that opens the door to so many IT career paths. The best part, when you combine this knowledge with cloud services like Azure or Microsoft 365, you become a well-rounded, in-demand IT pro. Whether you're just getting started or building your lab at home, this guide gives you a solid foundation to grow from.